私を食べたい人でなし。
A romance where one character is the predator and the other is the prey. This is the brutal, unavoidable truth at the heart of This Monster Wants to Eat Me, with an anime confirmed for the Yuri horror manga series set to air sometime in October 2025, with Naoyuki Kazuya and Yusuke Suzuki directing the anime at Studio Lynx. Hinako, a high school girl living by the sea, drifts through her days haunted by grief with a vague desire to die ever since losing her family in a tragic accident, yet lacks the will to end it herself. One day, everything shifts when Shiori, a strikingly beautiful mermaid, appears from the waves and utters the chilling words, "I've come to devour you." Instead of fleeing, Hinako accepts Shiori's presence as it turns out that Hinako possesses a strangely irresistible tastiness to yokai, spirits, and monsters drawn to humans. Shiori proposes an arrangement. She will protect Hinako from other monsters until the day Hinako is at her tastiest, at which point she will consume her, and Hinako consents. This bizarre bargain sets the stage for a relationship that is part guardianship, part predation, and entirely ambiguous. The world building of This Monster Wants to Eat Me is minimalist but effective. The focus isn't on creating a vast, intricate fantasy world crawling with predators, but rather on establishing a single and clear rule. Some humans are food. Although the existence of these monsters is a known but largely unseen threat, the series doesn't waste time on detailed lore or complex magical systems. Instead, it uses the threat of consumption to drive the plot and build tension. The story is a slow-burn psychological drama centered on the relationship between Hinako and Shiori. The core narrative conflict is established immediately. Shiori will protect Hinako, but only so she can eat her later, creating a sense of irony, as every moment of warmth and affection shared by the two is shadowed by the knowledge of its tragic end. The narrative arc is less about the traditional conflict and more about the psychological toll on its characters, as the dialogue is heavy, with characters often saying more through pauses and stares than with actual words, and when the words are actually spoken, they are pretty depressing. As the story continues, we see Hinako's acceptance of her fate as one to be eaten, her struggle with a growing affection for Shiori, and her moments of defiance. The story seems and acts like a countdown to an event that feels both inevitable and profoundly unjust. That is, with Hinako being eaten, but I would really be surprised if that ever happened. The series does a good job in using pacing to build suspense, with each chapter adding another layer to the complex dynamic between the two characters and their development as the plot unfolds in a quiet, intimate manner, focusing on the small day-to-day interactions that highlight the tragedy of the situation. So far, so good, but to be honest, the way I see it, the only unique aspect of this series is the seemingly girls' love premise, which also isn't as prominent as the label girls' love. While reading the manga, I can only connect the core dynamic of the series as a direct parallel to the popular trope of a powerful, non-human character, such as a kami, god or a demon, who is possessive and initially sees the human protagonist as a plaything or a means to an end, only to genuinely fall for them later. The human protagonist is often lonely or has a difficult life, making them vulnerable to this attention, and in most stories, the possessive god's love overcomes their other intentions, leading to a happy ending, with the love becoming redemptive, a source of salvation for the girl, and the power imbalance is often resolved or softened. The difference here is that This Monster Wants to Eat Me never abandons the existential resignation of Hinako and Shiori's predatory framing for the sake of a happy ending, giving it a bleaker edge, seemingly delving into a relentless, slow-burn tragedy where the love between the two characters exists alongside the impending doom. But again, I don't believe this will happen. Coming to the characters, Hinako is the lens through which the audience experiences the terrifying reality of this world. As a figure of loneliness, isolation, and with very little will to live, her delicious body makes her a victim in waiting. But that doesn't signify her as a passive character, as the core of the series' story is Hinako's journey through life's obstacles. Viewers who are sensitive to depictions of suicidal thoughts may want to steer clear of this series because Hinako's suicide ideation is frequently depicted. Early on, she's nearly catatonic, motionless when attacked, resigned to becoming prey. But over time, small sparks of change emerges, like when she physically flees from danger for the first time. Shiori, who is not a villain, not a benevolent protector, but both at once, is an obsessive human-eating mermaid who, through the meeting of Hinako, begins understanding the values of human life and love much better. She is the type of character to help out Hinako and claim her actions serve only her own interests, pleasure, sustenance, or even simple amusement. Yet, we all know where this character is going. The core tension of the series lies in that unsettling contradiction. She nurtures Hinako but never abandons the promise of consumption. Although there does exist romantic intent in the form of Shiori's initial obsessiveness and Hinako's growing affection, it's pretty subtle and secondary to the emotional and psychological depth of the story. Coming to what looks promising. Studio Links may not be a headlining studio, but they've served as a solid support studio on pretty famed projects like Yuri's My Job and Tachibankan Triangle that do have technical competence. The trailer looks clean, adhering to the original character designs, and with the anime's experienced staff, I do not see any potential problems with the staff and studio. But the psychological aspect this series delves into are very real, slow, and depressive, which might alienate casual anime viewers who favor more upbeat or action driven stories. In addition, due to Hinako's inherent problems, she as a character rarely drives the plot forward but is pushed by the other characters, and Shiori, the dreadful monster in the guise of a cute face who is the source of the suspense, soon enough reveals her reluctance to eat Hinako until she can live happily, which pretty much removes much of the tension, making the plot predictable, which needs to be balanced well in order to deliver something truly entertaining. Well, here's my call. I think the anime will do good with its specific niche, bringing out its own fan base and its psychological aspect giving a twist for something more than just a girl's love. But its melancholic, horror-tinged Ryuri romance may not attract casual viewers. So, who should watch this? If you are a fan of psychological horror, slow burn character dramas, and stories with tragic or morally ambiguous themes, then this will likely entertain you, but otherwise, this series ain't for you. If you enjoyed this video, then do consider subscribing to my channel for more.